Scripture's pretty clear that something's going to happen. Either there's going to be a rapture first, or a lot of Christians are going to get killed, and that concept comes from a number of places, especially Daniel. In chapter 11, it talks about Daniel got prophecy to the end time given to him, and it says here, and they understand among the people, they that understand among the people shall instruct many, yet they shall fall by the sword. It's talking about the latter days, by captivity and by spoil. Now when they shall fall, they shall be helped with a little help, but many shall cleave to them with flatteries. And it says here that, you know, in a number of places here, it says that it's going to, the saints will be given into this one's hand. Yeah, it says here, yeah, let me just, it says here about the Antichrist, and well, it shall accomplish to scatter the power of the holy people. All these things shall be finished. So the Antichrist is going to scatter the power of the holy people. And he says, many shall be purified and made white and tried, but the wicked shall do wickedly, and none of the wicked shall understand, but the wise shall understand. And from the time that the daily sacrifice shall be taken away and the abomination and made desolate set up, there should be 1,290 days. The daily sacrifice could be the fact that we die daily to Christ, or it could be in a temple. It's interesting, it could be either one, because Jesus talks about the abomination of desolation and says, let the reader understand. He said the same thing about that when he was talking about the temple, and they misunderstood, thinking he was talking about the temple, and he was talking about the temple of his body being resurrected in 3 days. And he says the same thing, let the reader understand about this abomination of desolation set up in the holy place. And of course, Christians don't need a holy place. We have Christ dwelling within us when we're born again, right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah, I mean, you can really feel it. I mean, anyone who's out there who has contemplated, oh, you know, I don't know if I should give my life to Jesus Christ. I mean, for me, when I was 20, I had walked on fire. I had done all that kind of esoteric, you know, New Age meditation stuff, and just none of it worked. And I was like, oh, sure, I'll try Jesus like I just tried the other stuff. Well, that stuck.
Well, you know, you're fortunate, and maybe your mom's fortunate that she doesn't end up like Jay-Z Knight or people who are taken over by these spirits that take control of their bodies. And I've seen that happen with people sitting next to me, and I've seen them cast out, and you don't want something...
Well, here, let me run this by you. You were talking earlier, one of the tangents was bipolar disease, and it rung a bell. I knew this high priestess in 2003, and I didn't know anything about Wicca. I just thought it was like witchy poo. I just didn't think it had any weight or power to it, but she was this high priestess or whatever, and then, you know, she's got this bipolar disease, and what I was learned from that is every time they go and practice this stuff, and I think a lot of them are thrill seekers, they want to see some demonic orb fly by, or they want to see something happen. And so they get that something, but there's a pretty heavy price to pay.
Yeah, you mentioned that price, Keating. We've shown film on rock stars that have paid that price to get famous and make millions of dollars. And Carlos Santana says, you know, he's got these spirits in him. He says, I don't care what you call them, devils or angels, I can control them. Yeah, he thinks he can. Same thing.
No, you can't control anything without. I mean, you need Jesus to even get you out of that, and you're not really controlling anything.
Jimmy Page said that that's the way to get famous: get these spirits into you, and he'd wait in a darkened room with a candle until the spirit took control and gave him this.
That's too bad, because I love Jimmy Page. He's such a great guitar player, you know.
Well,
but and he lives in Aleister Crowley's house. Hello.
Yeah, he owns the house.
And again, why is he such a great guitar player?
Well, here's my thing. I think, you know, if you make the stupid mistake, and I really hate this about the whole crossroads thing of old rock and roll, but where Robert Johnson, you need the devil to help you out with music, and they said Lucifer was the king of music, and all this crap. It's like, what they're doing is they're making a stupid deal where the devil just leaves them alone, and they're still learning on their own. I still think Jimmy Page is a great guitarist. I don't think Satan made him into that. I just don't think that Satan.
Well, you know, Keating, we don't know at what level Satan started to help him, because with Robert Johnson, all these old musicians that played with him that were still alive, we showed film of them speaking, And they
Yeah.
said that Robert Johnson was a pretty poor guitar player, and he came
yeah.
back. He came back just several months later. He was the best guitar player they'd ever seen, and he had all these lyrics, and he never sat down and read lyrics or anything like
And
that.
all his lyrics were about the devil, and you know.
Yeah,
Well, you know what the sad thing about that is that he could have learned that on his own. He didn't need the devil for any of that. or
yeah, but he
credit
wasn't
the
going to get it
devil.
in a few months.
Right, but I think what separates those great musicians from the ones you never heard of is they've been given the kingdoms of this world, and that's why you hear so much about them.
I sure think that they've been seduced. And, you know, you go back to the
They have.
Prometheus thing.
We agree.
And it's all that drugs. The drugs really bring down...
Well,
it might give you some good music in the beginning, but...
it puts you in an altered state, does it not?
well, yeah. Now, here's the other thing, too. I really think that Jesus used the late 60s, especially the 70s. I've heard a lot of things bleed through, like In My Time of Dying. I need, you know, it talks about Jesus, and this is an old blues song. So, and there's all these elements that have come through. I just, you know, I hear what you're saying, but I don't think it's as bad as the Rolling Stones. The Rolling Stones are blatant in their soul, you know what I'm saying? Same with Black Sabbath.
Well,
it's very blatant.
Yeah, they did a film. They did a film with Anton LaVey, the head of the church. A couple of them with Church of Satan, and Keith Richards himself says he's got spirits in him, 4 of them that he's had for about 30 years.
You know, and Keating, I agree with you. I want to think about the group, the Eagles. Do you
Yeah.
think they blatantly made a pact with the devil? I don't believe they did.
Yeah.
But yet in altered states, something happened, because
Yeah.
what's their most famous song?
Yeah, Hotel California.
Yeah, have you read the lyrics of that song?
Yeah, I'm familiar with, you know, yeah.
Interesting connection, is it not? Their
True.
most famous.
And I hear what you're saying. I mean, if you look at, like, say, Fleetwood Mac, again, you get these undertones. And I do want to say something about basic rock and roll and it being Delta blues based. The best stuff. Forget about Robert Johnson. There's these guys that were Christian preachers, like Blind Willie Johnson, and there's many of these black men who were preaching Jesus. And I really think that rock and roll is Christian in nature because of where it comes from. And then the devil tries to get a hold of it and bury it and play games with it. And I just...
As he does with everything else, he takes what God has created and
Right.
twists it. And
So I want to address something. You started out saying meditation, you know, and all this meditation. I would like to say that for everything the devil's got out there, TM meditation, that there is a truth. There's a counterfeit, that there's some truth. There is true meditation on the God's Word. There's true music. There's even true rock and roll.
Hold
but
on,
it gets
Keating.
buried.
I'd like to show this next section of film, but the true meditation on God's Word is not altering your consciousness. It's
No.
sitting there and meditating on God's Word, thinking about it, and letting God doesn't need an altered state of consciousness or a hocus-pocus statement to get him into your presence. He'll put thoughts in your mind when he feels like it, and he will bring people into your life when he feels like it. And when he had angels appear to people, it was on his initiative, not people saying, I want an angel to appear to me. They just showed up when he sent them, and that's a pretty rare occurrence anyhow. But thanks for your call, Keating.
Yeah, thank you.
And one thing else I'd like to add about this meditation, Mike, when I looked up the Hebrew in the Old Testament, to when God says meditate on my word day and night, it means to murmur, to know his word, to repeat it, to embed it in your heart and in your mind. And you do that by continually reading his word and murmuring.
Thinking about it, speaking to yourself in your mind,
Yeah.
murmuring in your mind maybe about it too.
And the beginning of wisdom, knowledge is the beginning of wisdom. And so what do we meditate on? That his knowledge, who
Well, the
he
fear
is.
of the Lord is the beginning of wisdom.
Yeah,
And then knowledge will come from
Right.
that, but the fear of the Lord is the beginning. Listen, we've got a 7.5-minute segment of this film, and then we'll be back to take some more calls if you'd like. And
we
guys,
won't have much time, but anyway.
we'll have a few minutes. We'll have a
okay.
few minutes. So let's run this 7.5-minute section of film. We'll see you after that.